I'll be honest with you. If I sat in front of you and you and I had a pitch off and we were doing pitches, I'd be horrible at it. And within the first 10, 15 seconds of that conversation, you know as well as I do whether or not you're going to let me get up on top of that roof or not.
My argument today would be, first of all, it's different customers.
You've built, you've planted that seed and you've played the long game.
There's something about doing something every day, even if you're not in it.
You need to understand something. You're not selling a want, you're selling a need. And when you're knocking on the door and you realize that, then it'll all click for you.
So those coaches, they're not world champions per se, but they're the best coaches and they know how to coach, they know how to see. Well, Dan, finally we're doing it.
Right?
You're 45 minutes from my office and we've been trying to get together for a year now.
Yep.
So you missed the workout this morning. What's your excuse?
My excuse is I'm still doing boots on the ground. So I'm out there, I had to pick out 2 color appointments this morning and I have to turn a job in. Later this afternoon, I've got an adjuster appointment. So I've got, I'm still busy. I'm still trying to run around and get things taken care of.
We can work out after.
We'll do a workout. I'm into that. I'm into that.
Wow.
I got to get ready for tug of war, I guess, down in Win the Storm. So
you're going to win the storm. Let's start there because right before the interview, we have this little conversation. You started with guys asking questions. So you've sold $18 million in 1 year. You're consistent, what, 4 or 5 million a year?
For 25 years, I've been over 2.5, 3.
I see you at different events. I just saw you in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to see you at Win the Storm. There are a lot of hate towards events now. I see it's kind of thing like, oh, events are stupid. They're trying to get you. Like, what's your take on events? Because you're successful. You've been doing it for 26 years. You're one of the most successful people out there, and you're still asking questions.
The reason I think events are so important is I go to the events because my goal is to go to these events and try to pick up 2 to 3 different nuggets that I can, right? I want to take those, bring them back to what I do, and try to apply those. I mean, I've been doing this for 26 years. I've 25 years straight of selling $2.5+ million a year. The reason I think I'm successful is because I'm always willing to learn. Because if you're not learning, you're dying in this industry. And this industry has changed so much, right? And going to these different events, a lot of the higher ups, people think it's just about the money, just about the money. Well, in reality is I go to these events to network, build relationships, and learn. And when I say networking, there's people that I trust and that I view at the top of the industry that know what they're talking about. And those are the people that I want to listen to. And there's also people up there, as well as I do, that blow smoke up people's, what. And,
How do you filter them?
I filter them because I think I've been doing this for so long that...
How?
Well, for example, sales leaders, right? There's a lot of salespeople out there that are training you on how to be a good salesman, right? But they haven't sold a roof in 15 years. But they're telling you how to be a great salesman. Where myself, I go out there and I'm a salesman. I still do this every single day. And
you have to practice.
And sales has changed. I mean, sales 20 years ago is completely different today. Sales 5 years ago, 10 years ago is completely different today. You have to modify your sales technique and modify your strategies when you're out with that in the home, knocking on doors, meeting people, referrals, reviews, things like that. It's all changed. And you have to keep adapting to that, which I think a lot of the sales structure that you're getting from a lot of these so-called gurus out there, they haven't changed. And they're using the same techniques, which, good or bad, I mean, you take it for what it's worth. But I mean, I can see through a lot of different things that I know what works and what doesn't. So
I struggle with this a little bit for 2 reasons, and I'll explain. I want to give you 2 analogies. So take boxing or even Olympic weightlifting, right? So a lot of coaches, or like boxing coach, Mike Tyson's coach, those coaches, they're not world champions per se, but they're the best coaches and they know how to coach, they know how to see, right? So I do agree with you that you have to have experience, you have to be in the game, you have to be committed. But other extreme would be college professors who teach business, even in Harvard, who've never run business in their life, and they teach it every day. And somehow they still produce people. So there's something about doing something every day, even if you're not in it. Like if you're coaching, CrossFit or whatever, you cannot be better at it because you're in the gym every single day. And that's what, like Rodney Webb, like my coach, right? He might not be there selling, but you believe that he can sell. System works, and he'll go and write alongs and stuff, but he doesn't have full-time job selling.
Exactly.
So I feel like there are people who in the game and they cannot teach because they're too much in the game. So where's that fine line?
I think, and I'm not saying anything negative about, sales gurus out there. I mean, there's guys out there that are 10
But
times
I
better
agree
sales
with you.
than me.
There's definitely people who are not in the game, and you don't even believe that they can sell.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get them in my truck and go out and try to sell roofs with some of these people and just see their techniques and put them actually to practice and see if they actually work. You know, maybe that'd be a great podcast someday, right? To see if those techniques actually work, because I see a lot of them that I look at, I'm like, that wouldn't work in this situation, right? But I'm not saying anything negative about the Rodney Webbs and the Adam Bensmans, the people out there that perfect their craft, right?
They're still in the trenches.
Because they're still in the trenches. They're perfecting, like the Deshaun's knocking doors, guys that are perfecting the craft. I'm gonna name names, but I'm talking about those people that literally, you see them out at the door, you see them knocking, or you see them, and it's like that will not work in the situation that I'm in, right? But and I'm always one of those people. I'm never going to sit there and downplay anybody else. I'm just going to make sure that what I do is correct. And what I do is going to help people learn and help people get better at their craft. Because reality-wise, you've been doing it a long time. I've been doing this for 26 years. My goal when I get out of here is I want to leave a legacy where hopefully I leave it better than the way I started. So if I can teach those new sales reps, then that's kind of what I do with Go Beyond the Hustle. Is there's so many teaching aspects that are out there, teaching leadership, teaching owners, teaching the higher ups in the company. There's not a lot of people out there that just teach the sales reps and how the sales reps to, hey, this isn't your job, this is your career. How do you become that elite? And that's what I'm here to try to help them guys do. So.
Love it. So you've sold over $18 million in one season. Was it the luck? Was it like stars align and something happened? Or how we have overnight success? You work for someone for 10 years and then overnight you become famous. Was it that kind of year you've done something?
Well, kind of. I mean, 2 years prior to that, I did $7.5 million. So, I mean, it's not something that just happens. But what it is I think what a lot of it is you've built, you've planted that seed and you've played the long game. What a lot of these sales reps have troubles right now, and they're having issues is everybody looks for the short game. Everybody looks for the quick money, the quick fix. How can I get paid now? Where in this job, if you really want to be that elite, if you really want to be the top 1%, you got to treat this as your career, not as your job, and you got to look out for the long game. And that's kind of how that $18.5 million started. I've been doing a lot of work. My wife and I have been doing a lot of work in the community of planting that seed, letting people know what we do. With our brand, I mean, be proud of your brand. We've pushed our brand out there in the community. I'm the 8th grade head football coach. I help with the booster program. I do security down at the booster days. You push your name out there where people know nothing but, hey, this is Dan. Dan's the roofing contractor. So when something like this does happen, I mean, it's a community-wide event. They know you. I mean, like I tell people all the time when I speak, I said, it was literally 37 seconds after this hailstorm hit in Hudson, Wisconsin, my phone didn't stop for 2.5 months. And it was a constant. I had voicemails where I couldn't keep. And the reason that is because people knew, hey, this is what I do, and I pushed that brand out. So, was it stars align? Sure, stars align, but it's something that I've worked at for a long time to get those stars to align.
How do you stay consistent in an industry that's full of ups and downs? In the Midwest, we do have years with a lot of storms. We have years where like 2-3 years in a row, nothing.
I think part of the way to stay consistent is it's a mindset thing, right? Having the right daily habits and the daily goals and things like that. You've got to push yourself to the point where, like I tell everybody, it doesn't matter if there's a storm or no storm. If there's a no storm, you got to work a little bit harder. If there's a storm, you work a little bit less, right? But it's about those habits and consistency and staying on top. And I used to always take retail jobs, and you'd always want to push them to the insurance side of the industry, right? Insurance side was easier. It's better. It's da-da-da. Well, now in the last 5, 6, 7 years, you take those insurance jobs and you push them retail. And then what you're doing is you're actually pursuing the homeowner's best interest more because you're helping that homeowner out. And I think that's the biggest key. And so I've seen a lot, when I first started, it was 95% insurance, 5% retail. And now I'd probably say I'm 60-40, 70-30 maybe at insurance retail. And so you keep your retail game up. So you're still doing, $2.5 million on a down year. Where on an up year, like this year's a good year for me, I'd be anywhere between 5 to 7 million. So
what are most sales reps getting wrong about this industry and this game?
I think I hit it on the beginning. I think what sales reps get wrong is that they jump into a company and they want that quick, easy money. They don't want to put the work toward it. I think a lot of that, I blame it on the owners and CEOs and managers of companies, because the entitlement factor, what they're doing is they're hiring anybody, right? They're bringing them into your system. They're paying them. Because when I first started, I don't know what I got paid for a salary or draw. I got paid $0. That's what I got paid. It was a sink or swim method back when we did. Now, can that happen now? Probably not. There's not too many companies that are going to say, hey, come on in, float yourself for the next 2 months. You're not going to get paid nothing. And then,
Oh, there's still companies like that.
but it's tough though. It's a lot tougher now because sales reps want to get in. They want that draw, right? They want that $40,000 to $60,000 a year draw. And then they want to sell on top of that and then and that's the issue.
Do you support it?
It's hard because I started 26 years ago, right? So I started knowing what works, and what happened 26 years ago is my mindset. People always ask, hey, what's your why? What's your why? And I tell people I didn't have a why. My why is my no choice. I didn't have a choice. I wanted to take care of my family. That was my why. It was my no choice. I had to do it, right? Nowadays, I mean, we've had guys in our company that come in, you pay them a $45,000 a year draw, and they're perfectly A-okay with a 45. And their work ethic is not very good. Because they're already getting paid that. Where, do I support it? Do I support paying? I think I should say I support people getting paid to start, maybe a training, things like that. But would I pay a person a draw if I owned my own company now? Would I pay a person a draw of $50,000 a year on top of what? No, I wouldn't.
What do you think is fair commission-only percentage from the top in 2025?
Are you talking 1099 or W-2s?
1099.
So if I was a 1099, I think a commission on top, I would start, if I was starting, I would start a sales rep off at 40 to 50%, right?
Of the profit?
Mm-hmm. And then what I would do on that is I would say, I'd do like a 3-month or a 6-month probationary period, or do like a 100 job probation or a 50 job probation. I should say 50 because back then 100 jobs was $1 million. Now 100 jobs is $2.5 million. So let's say a 50 job probationary period, and then then maybe do a percentage increase on that.
What about employees?
If I was an employee, what I would start off, I would probably do a system where you'd start them up at 8% of the job, right? Up to $1 million or 1.5 or whatever. And then after that 1.5 million, then I'd kick it up to 10% retroactive. So it pushes them to get to that 1.5. Then maybe $2 million go to 12%.
So they will get paid on the first.
All retroactive. So if you got it to $2 million, you're getting 12% of everything that you sold up to $2 million. It pushes the sales rep to keep pushing up to get higher and higher. Wow. So the entitlement factor for the sales rep is if you're okay sitting at $1 million, you're only going to make 80%. But if you want to take that and kick it to $2 million, you're going to get paid 12% on everything retroactive back. And that's a different way of getting the sales rep to move forward and actually push themselves without having you push them.
Always learning. I mean, I just learned something today. That's one of the most beautiful structures. I've seen it all. Like I've seen like cap and this and bonuses. We've done bonuses and I like bonuses, but
I mean, you can even get higher. I mean, if you get a $3.5 million rep, awesome. Shoot it to 14%.
Yeah.
Right?
Why not?
Yeah, you're paying a lot of money.
Your company's going to.
Yeah. I was going to say you're paying that sales rep a lot of money, but guess what? The company's going to. If he's selling $3.5 million, what is that overhead? Let's say you're at a 13% overhead or a 15% overhead. I mean, you're making $400,000 or $500,000 just on the overhead on that.
The question of the day is, why haven't you started your business yet?
Well, to be straight up honest with you, I owned my own company for 12 years, and I got out of that, and I promised my wife that once the kids got of age, I wasn't going to travel, do storm. Because when I first started doing this, we were legit storm chasers, right? So there was a storm in Appleton. That's where my first storm I ever worked was in Appleton, Wisconsin. So we went from Minneapolis to Appleton. I lived in a microtel for 1.5 years, and I worked that storm. Came back. The next storm I worked was down by Peoria, Illinois. So we storm chased. I drove back and forth every 2 weeks for 2 years straight. And then my kids started getting the age. So then we got out of that, and I found a company that I wanted to work for up here. I basically interviewed 3-4 companies. And I walked into Tony's office and I said to him, hey, flat out, I said, I need contracts and t-shirts. I'll sell you $1.5 million every year. And he's looked at me and like every owner's gonna be like, bullshit, but who's this guy, right? And within the first 2 weeks, I was the top on the leaderboard and I just rolled it through. And I've gotten offers to be ownership. I've got offers for managers and general managers around the nation. To be honest with you, I love doing what I'm doing. I love selling real estate. I still love pursuing the homeowner's best interest. I love going out there. To me, I view this as a game, and I want to be the top of the game. I want to be it's Tom Brady of roofing. So I love it, man. I love helping people out, and I love meeting with insurance companies. I love that aspect of it. Someday, I assume, I've gotten offers to train private equity companies and things like that, and I'm not into that part yet. Eventually, when I stop climbing roofs, I'll probably get into that, but we'll see. I'll be a free agent, I guess, in a few years, but we'll see.
What advice would you give to a sales rep who's stuck at that 1 million plateau? There's so many reps. They're like
Yep.
1.5.
I actually do that when I do my coaching. That's something I talk about. As I said, when they're stuck between that five, right nowadays with $1 million rep, that's basically doing 25 jobs to 35 jobs a year. Because on average, an average job is about 25,000. That's what I've been doing for the last 3-4 years. So 25 years ago, $1 million rep, on average, the jobs with 8 to 10,000, you had to sell 100 jobs, right? Now to do 100 jobs, you're a $2.5 million rep. You should put in your pocket easily 250 grand a year by doing that, right? So what I tell people nowadays is if you're stuck at that $1 million mark and you just can't get over that hurdle, a lot of it is the fact that you need to invest more in yourself. You need to get more training, read more books, go talk to people, jump on Zoom classes, because $1 million right now is like selling $250,000 25 years ago. Sure. I mean, it's not, you should be able to sell $1 million, especially if you're in a storm area. If you're not, it's probably back on you, the sales rep. You're not putting enough time, effort into it, and you're treating this as a job and not your career. Because I tell people all the time, I mean, if you legitimately can put 40 hours a week into this job, you can't not sell over $1 million.
100%.
I mean, especially in a market like Minnesota here, Dallas, Chicago, Denver.
But I think the problem is that minimum wage. A lot of people will say, what sales reps usually say, or business owners usually say, I don't need more. I'm happy where I am. Like, I'm not greedy. Like, it always comes to greed and judging. Like, I think it's excuses for being lazy and not pushing themselves hard.
Or entitlement, right? I mean, they want everything handed to them. I mean, look at leads now. When I first started out, there wasn't all these lead companies. You couldn't go out and get leads just sent to you, good or bad. I don't know. To be straight up honest with you, I've never taken a lead from a lead gen company ever in my life. Everything I've done is all organic leads. It's either knocking doors, relationships, networking, people calling the office, people calling off my sign, things like that. I've never taken a lead from an actual company. Not saying good or bad. I mean, they're out there. We need those out there because, to be honest with you, there's a lot of companies that thrive off those lead services, which is great. That's
but it's also different. Like my argument today would be, first of all, it's different customers. Second of all, if you have, like, imagine you have a rural area where there are houses like mile ahead, like you can't knock it. There's so many areas, like gated community, like they're on the internet. Like, person you will find on internet is not the person you will find through a door knock and a yard sign.
100%, agree.
So it's two different people, and not doing one of them. Like, I think marketing should be diversified. Yep. Like, some people will buy from door knockers and almost waiting for the door knockers. Some people only will do their research.
No, I agree with that. You're hitting 5 different avenues, right? You're hitting the internet, you're hitting the people that want the door-to-door, there's people out there that literally want you to come to the door and just sit there and chit-chat with you for the next half hour, right? You're hitting the friends and family market. You're hitting, the six-pack around your door, or around your build. I mean, there's different avenues that you can hit. I just personally have never done the lead part of it, because my funnel's been full with just basically network relationship building and hitting what I've got, so.
Love it. What's been the hardest business lesson for you to learn?
I would say the hardest business lesson that I've learned is trusting people. Trusting people that you thought you could trust, and down the road you realized you couldn't. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that is the fact that I've been in it for so long, and that's why when you talk to me about the different people out there that I go and listen to and talk, the people that I trust and I know that I would take information from this person and run with it, right? And then there's people out there that I'm like, hey man, you shake their hands, you're friendly, whatever, but not gonna try that system. So it's cool. I would say trusting people is difficult.
Let's talk about the industry trends. Perfect man for it, because we've been doing it for 26 years. What are biggest changes you've seen in the past 10 years? Where the industry is going? What do you see right now?
I think I hit on a little bit earlier. I think the biggest thing that we've got now is, in the insurance side of it, is with policies and ACVs and deductibles and things like that, where it was an easy man's game to do the insurance side, right? It was, hey, your deductible is $1,000, $500. Let's get you a new roof. The insurance covers it. Now with policies at 10 years and ACVs, now you have to take that insurance claim, and a lot of it you have to push to the retail. So if you're not into the retail game, if you don't understand the retail game, you need to learn it, and you need to figure it out real quick, because those people that do learn it, understand it, and roll with it are the ones that are going to be a step ahead of those other people. I think that's the biggest change.
Is door knocking dying?
I don't think so. I think it's great. I mean, I have no issues with door knocking. I mean, I think how you door knock is changing. You know, a lot of people sit there and say, hey, you know, door knocking just doesn't work for me. It's like, it depends. Are you going out door knocking with a specific pitch? Because you know as well as I do, people don't want a salesman at the door. They want somebody that they can really. I'll be honest with you. If I sat in front of you and you and I had a pitch off and we were doing pitches, I'd be horrible at it. I 100% view that your best door knockers out there are basically psychologists. They know how to read people.
I agree.
I mean, when I come and knock at your door, I would figure out something that you're into. For example, if I'm staring in your garage and I see the weights and stuff, I'm not talking to you about roofing. I'm not talking to you about siding. I'm talking to you about lifting weights. Talking to you about different things that I know that's going to spark your interest, so we can have a conversation. Because you know as well as I do, in the first 30 seconds of that conversation, you either got that homeowner interest sparked or not. Probably even less than that. Seconds. I was going to say probably even less than that. And within the first 10, 15 seconds of that conversation, you know as well as I do whether or not you're going to let me get up on top of that roof or not. You know what I mean? And we teach our guys at these doors to go with this. Hey, hey, Dimitri, my name's Dan. I'm here to look at your roof, check out, see if you got any damage, come back down, show you some pictures, see if there's any, That's what everybody does, right? You need to set yourself different. How do you ask questions that other people aren't asking? How do you set yourself apart? And those are the things that I talk to people about. For example, you know, when I go to a door and I knock on somebody's door, I completely set myself apart from everybody else. And that's kind of what I teach. And I go around and I show people exactly what I do to get those people.
You've talked about fake hail claims. How common is that in our industry, in your opinion?
Well, again, I'm talking about a guy who's been doing it for 26 years, you know, and you know, there's going to be a lot of people watching this podcast, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be really upset with what I'm going to say right now. And that's part of the reason they do this, right? I think what killed this industry, all right, from when I first started to now, are greedy contractors. And I really do believe that. And the reason that is because when I first started, we'd get overhead and profit on every single claim that was 3+ trades. Then we started getting greedy. Then we started wanting overhead and profit on one trade. Then we wanted, it kept snowballing until now, getting overhead and profit, it's a challenge. I mean, you still can get it, but it's a challenge and you got to, you know, whatever. And I think that as far as what you said is false claims, I think that happens a lot. I think we set that up because what we're doing now is people are doing the old spaghetti against the wall trick, right? They're just throwing it up there and hopefully get a easy adjuster and get it taken care of. Whereas reality-wise is if, you know, people ask how you get a 90+ close ratio with insurance companies. It's because the claims that I go out and meet with these insurance companies, and I have a relationship with the adjusters, they know that I'm not going to bring them out there unless I truly believe that it should be approved. And if it's approved, that's where I go through the whole scope assessment and everything like that with the insurance companies, and that's how you get the approvals. So,
what do you think about the future of personal branding in roofing? You build amazing personal brand. I see a lot of guys doing it. Do you feel like we go in that direction where your personal brand is as big as your company brand? Should we invest in it, or should we just go all in on our companies and our businesses?
I think your personal brand is huge for the fact that when you're selling that roof, we're getting more and more where the company, I mean, the company I work for is phenomenal, right? But when I meet with that homeowner face to face, you know, that homeowner doesn't care which company I'm selling for. That homeowner cares about the person's face that I'm talking to, right? And you know that by when you're all done with that company and you're all done with that homeowner's job, and when they're ready to write you that final check, and then when they look up, and you got to understand that company's name's been on the sign, every documentation they had, the shirt you've been wearing, the hat you've been wearing, everything they have says that company's name. But when that homeowner looks up to you and says, who do I write the final check out to? That's when you know you've made it and you sold that homeowner you and not the company. And that's when you know you've built that relationship, because that homeowner is willing to write you a $30,000 check to Dan Walrack, which that's when you know you've made it, I think, as far as selling them as yourself, your brand. And personal brand is huge. I mean, with Go Beyond the Hustle, I mean, that's what we started a few years back. And, you know, it's actually snowballed huge, which is great. I love it. So,
is it possible to grow fast without paid advertising and gimmicks in this industry?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible to grow large. I mean, it depends on how large a person wants to grow. And like something that I try to explain to a lot of people too is with overhead and things like that, the biggest kicker is you don't want to get too big too fast, right? Because once you start getting too big too fast, your overhead will start to grow and you can't manage it. I always like to do the slow growth, and then, let's say you're an $8 to $10 million company, try to get to that $10 to $15 million mark. Sit there for a year or two. Understand the responsibilities of a $15 million company, right? Then all of a sudden you want to get to that $20 million, then you know what you need to do to grow to that part. Gimmicks, things like that. I mean, advertising. I think advertising is a huge plus, right? Gimmicks, I don't know. Go Beyond the Hustle for me, I guess, is a gimmick a little bit, right? I mean, it's a brand that
Gimmick would be, not a free roof inspection, but there's a lot of BS advertising, like 50% off this, or we'll give you like 50% off on underlayment, or,
yeah, we don't do any of that.
We will pay you deductible as a gimmick, or you pay us for, like, you will put yard on sign, like, there's like marketing.
Well, you've seen that for 20 years. I mean, I've seen people put signs up and they tell people, hey, I'll give you $50 for the month to put a sign up in your yard, and they haven't even signed with the homeowner. I mean, I still go by the old school. I mean, I believe in roofing etiquette, right? Roofing etiquette, if a sign's in somebody's yard, you don't go knock on the door. That's roofing etiquette. And now people started...
Did people knock at your...
they do all the time. They do all the time. But I don't mind it, because I feel that before I put a sign in a homeowner's yard, I built such a relationship with that homeowner that I tell my homeowner it's going to happen. And I say, hey, here's the scoop. I'm going to put a sign in your yard. It's going to stop a lot of the riffraff from knocking on your door. But I said, there's going to be a couple of those people that knock on your door and try to give you I suppose a gimmick, try to give you that, hey, we'll get you hooked up, we'll do it better, we'll waive your disc, if that. I said, but I built that relationship so well with that homeowner that they know it's coming, and they can take care of it from there, So it's kind of fun. I mean, there's gimmicks out there all the time. I suppose it's going to continue until more and more and more and more companies keep coming out there, right? So,
do you think that mentorship and coaching in roofing becoming too expensive? Because you see what I see. There's a lot of very questionable and
I do. I think
high price tags.
I think that it's expensive, and there's a lot of other options out there that aren't quite as expensive that people need to look into, right? I mean, a lot of the investing in yourself doesn't involve going out and joining a $40,000 masterclass, right? It involves being smart with who you're understanding and who you're learning from. And finding, because I'm a firm believer in mentorship. I mean, there's people out there that you can 100%. Help. Like when I first started doing this, my mentor is Jim Johnson from Contractor Coach Pro. He was my boss day one when I first started. He was my boss, right? And I learned a lot of stuff through him. Good, bad, indifferent. I mean, people like him, people don't. To each his own. But I believe that you should have a mentorship in this idea and choose that person wisely. And yeah, you're right. There's a lot of expensive coaching gurus, people out there, but a lot of people swear by it. So, I don't have that. I have a mentorship, and I learn every single day. There's people that I talk to all the time. If there's something I don't know, I just know the right people to talk in the industry.
I also want to say this, like, for me personally, one of the best investments in myself always been conferences. And I'm not plugging Win the Storm next week or Roofing Process Conference or any. Like, I go to YouTube conference to learn YouTube. That's how I become so good at this. I met personally like Dan Martels and Daryl Eves and Mr. Beast. Like, I know those. Like, I hang out with YouTubers, and I'm the best in roofing space on YouTube. Okay. Like, not by accident. But for me, 2 days, 3 days of conference is truly like 6 months of college. Like, you pack in 2 days so much. And I have to give you credit for something. I've seen you at Win the Storm last year. Like at Roofville booth, I remember, so like, you bring energy with you. And sometimes you'll see there's people who are just bored and with a beer, and they're just like, I can't even explain it. They're down. They're at the conference with a whole bunch of awesome people they can learn from, and they're down. And then there are people like you, radiant. Like, you can't ignore you. Like, you're full of energy, and you're networking, and seeing that is inspiring and ignites your fire.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. I think that's the key is, if you're just going to these conferences just to go to these conferences, then you're wasting your money and you're wasting your time. But if you're truly going to these conferences to network and actually talk to people and be out there, don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to go up to the people that you think are the top in the industry, the Dimitris, the John Cenaks, the Chuck Tokies, and ask them questions.
Even other roofers who are just ahead of you.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how many $50 million, $100 million CEOs, how reachable they are.
100%.
I remember when I met Dustin Bigler, Apple Roofing. He was doing $50 million a year. I have him on a speed dial at 9 o'clock. He always answered.
Yep.
And so many people are doing it. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of people who will text you, like, go mega connections. Why do you think we have this movement now to cancel the conference or cancel culture towards events and stuff? You see it online. People like, don't go there, like trying to buy.
Because they all get the stereotypic, hey, this is a conference. The person that's running the conference, all they care about is the money, right? And I'm not going to say yay or nay to that. I know Josie's not doing it for that. I know that, Lance isn't doing it for that. I know those people.
Everybody's losing money on conferences.
Truth be told, I mean, there's only one out there that I think is making good money on the conferences, and we all know who that is. And so I'll be honest with you. These people truly do care. It was different a few years back, and I'm not going to say names, but
how was the last year for you?
Last year was great. I tell people all the time, and I can do a short plug here right now. I can tell people all the time, the conferences that I've gone to, I go to 3 to 4 conferences a year, and the reason I go to those is because they're always great networking for me. And, it's not the point that I speak there and they buy my ticket. It's not about that. It's about, I literally go there to network. I see the same people in the same conferences. I ask questions all the time. I love doing panel speaking. I love doing breakout speaking because, yes, I'm providing information to the 100 and so people that are sitting out there, but also I'm getting information back and things that I can use and apply to my own craft. And that's what people don't realize is these people that are doing breakouts and panel speaking too, they're up there learning just as much as those people in the crowd. And it's crazy because you go to all these conferences, you learn the people that are running the conferences, you understand that these people aren't in it just to make a mint of money, right? It's not about that. They want their name out there, they want the power, they want the structure, they want that out there, but they're doing it to get this industry back together. And there's so many different entities out there that are trying to pull it apart that if we all just stay together and just roll it, this industry is huge and it's great.
100%.
I love it.
Love it too. You were almost a gym teacher.
A gym teacher.
What changed your mind?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I first started doing this, real quick on the story. So I graduated college being a physical education, health and fitness teacher. I was going to be a teacher and I was going to be a coach. That's what I love. My passion is coaching. All right, and that's kind of why Go Beyond Hustle starts. That's my passion. My passion is coaching. I had it all set up. And Jim Johnson, he told me for a year and a half, 2 years straight, hey, you'd be great at this. You're personable. You're outgoing, da-da-da. And I looked him dead nuts in the face and I said, Jim, I'm not going to go door knock on house. I'm not selling people vacuums. That's not what I do, right? And he's like, listen, he goes, and what stuck with me is he says, you need to understand something. You're not selling a want. You're selling a need. And I didn't understand that at first. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, these are things people need. These aren't things people want. And when you're knocking on the door and you realize that, then it'll all click for you. And that's pursuit. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll give it a summer. I'll give it a try, right? We'll give it a shot. So I went out, drove my Ford Taurus with hail damage on it out to Appleton, Wisconsin, lived in a microtel for 4 months. And it was first house I went on, there was no training. He told me there was no Eagle View, there was no hover, there was no geospan, there was none of that. He's like, pop up there, measure off the roof, come back down, we'll get her taken care of. No idea, gym teacher, right? Put my ladder up, wobbly knees, getting up on top of the roof, got up there, started diagramming the house. He said, I have to run to the dentist, I'll be back, and da-da-da. I sat up on top of a nice, easy, wasn't a crazy cut roof, sat up there for an hour and a half measuring every nook and cranny of that roof, right on a piece of document or graph paper back in the old days. So I'm measuring up the roof, come back down. I go to the homeowner, and back then we had to convince the homeowner that this wasn't a scam, right? That yes, you can get new roof, you can get new gutters, you can get new siding for your house for a $250 deductible, Nowadays you have homeowners waiting for that, right? But now, back then, people thought it was a scam. If I'm getting $20,000 of work on my property for $250, no way that's legit, right? So got it all taken care of. What I didn't realize back then is you don't get paid until you cap out the job. Right, so I'm all May, June, July. I'm doing that, and all of a sudden I start to get cap out checks. 2-3 months into it, I'm like, "What's a cap out?" And all of a sudden I'm getting a $1,500 check, or a $1,000 check, or $2,000 check, and all of a sudden that's starting to go. And when I was ready to be a coach, I was going to make $30,000 a year as a coach and a teacher, and all of a sudden in 2 months I'm getting $25,000-$30,000, and the next thing you know is the 30-40 jobs that I've signed up. It was explained to me that that's my springboard for spring, and that's 20 or 30,000 in my pocket to start off the spring. I'm a 21-year-old kid. I'm like, holy cow, here we go. So then I called and I said, hey, I'll do it one more year. Give it one more year, see how it goes. And then that next year, I started learning the process of building relationships with insurance adjusters, building relationships with agents, things like that. And then that springboard in from, doing the first year making 35,000 to the next year making 104,000, then making a lot more money for the last 24 years. And I love doing what I'm doing, and the passion's there. And I think that's probably why I keep still I'm just a sales rep, man. That's why I'm a sales rep, is because I truly love doing what I'm doing.
Love it, man. Explain your motto: education over hustle.
Well, when I first was doing this, when somebody starts this job, they have to go through the blood, sweat, and tears of doing the hustle, right? You have to go out and knock doors. You have to build your pipeline. You have to go through the blood, sweat, and tears, like I said, of meeting homeowners, being out from 6:30, 7 o'clock in the day to 7 o'clock at night. In Minnesota market, we have 3 or 4 months off where we don't do a whole lot during the winter months, right? We got to put our time in during the spring. So we're out there 40 to 60 hours a week. Well, what I started realizing through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago is there's got to be something beyond that, right? There's got to be something beyond just going out and hustling, right? And that's when you started learning about the networking, the community, building your name up, getting your personal brand out, different ways of getting out there and reaching other people than just knocking doors. And that's kind of what we talked about earlier about, you said there's different markets for different people. Well, understanding those markets and seeing where you can put yourself in those markets, like B&I groups, networking events, conventions, things like that, where now you're hitting 6, 7, 8, 9 different avenues of referrals, of leads, of things coming into you, where eventually you get to that point where, getting 9 avenues of warm leads is a lot easier than knocking on 3 cold doors, right? And then when people start working for you, and this is a whole process of where you get people to go out and work for you and bringing you back leads where you're not really doing a whole lot for them, that's when you've made it in the industry. And then it talks about, bringing it back consistency-wise. That's where the consistency falls in, because storm or no storm, you're still getting those leads from warm avenues that you're working in for doing retail roof, retail siding, retail gutters, additions, things like that normally wouldn't come to you if you didn't build up that base.
Absolutely. Last 5 questions. You can answer as fast or as well. Viral soundbite potential kind of thing. $18 million in sales in 1 year. How did you pull it off?
A lot of teamwork. I think a lot of teamwork. I talked to the story a lot, and basically what happened is when that storm hit on May 19th, 2022, that storm hit, we had it that evening. I sat down with my wife and my 4 kids, and I said, hey, listen, I said, either we're all going to be all in or we're all going to be all out. I said, I can't do this if I'm getting pulled 4 different directions. Because I knew, because I've been doing this for a long time, I knew on a storm like this, it was going to be eat, sleep, and breathe this, right? I was doing color appointments at 3:30 in the morning. And people are like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, I literally would call homeowners and say, hey, we need to pick out colors Thursday at 3:30. They're saying in the afternoon I work. I said, no, I'm talking about 3:30 in the morning. And they would look at me like, what? And I'm like, I'll bring the donuts. You have the coffee. And I would make it work. It's about controlling your schedule, right? You had to do that. But these people, I've built such a relationship with this community that they would do that, right? And people are like, so my kids would do flyers. My kids would do folders. My wife would answer phone calls. She'd set up community.
Did they get paid?
Yeah, we paid them. They're all on the salary. So, but they had the understanding, as I told them that by the end of the year, if we all worked together as a team and we did this, that we'd do something cool. So we went to Italy that year. But I think the biggest thing is my wife was huge on voicemails and follow-ups. I did 595 separate homeowners with not one negative review. Wow. And the reason that is because follow-up, explaining to these homeowners, communicating with these homeowners that, hey, you might have to wait a few weeks, right? You might have to wait, but we're here. We have any questions? If you need to give us a holler back, one of us will get back to you as soon as possible. And she would set up literally cul-de-sac signings. I signed 33 contracts in one day. And in doing that, there would be cul-de-sac signings. So she would set up the cul-de-sac of 7, 8, 9 people, and I would go there and I would sign 9 people at one time and I have pictures on that on YouTube and stuff like that of doing that. It's all about how you organize your time and controlling your own schedule. Awesome.
What's the worst sales advice you ever got?
The worst sales advice, I would probably say, personally myself, I think the worst sales advice is to have a sales rep stick with a pitch and just don't deviate from the pitch, because I learned real quickly, I understand people have pitches because that's what they need to understand what they're selling. But if you force a person to stay with the pitch, that person's not being human. That person's not being.
He comes over as a sales rep, and
Yeah.
everybody hates sales reps
I mean,
because they don't want to be sold.
Let them modify it to fit their comfort. You know, I think more teaching the psychological aspect of how you make that sale as opposed to the pitch of doing it, I think is what is huge. So
Have you ever walked away from the deal because of your values?
many times. When I first started as a new sales rep, that's I think one of the hardest things for new sales reps is they look at the dollar figure attached to the job and they don't look at the outcome attached to the job. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
They look at, oh, if I sign this person up, I can make $1,000 or $2,000 here, but they don't realize that by signing that person up, they may jeopardize the company losing money because that person's just not a good fit culture-wise or value-wise. Understand how to say no, right? I mean, I've said numerous times, the line I always use is say, I don't think we're a good fit. You know, I think that, you know, you should find somebody else and da-da-da. You know, so I've walked away numerous times.
Is the hustle culture in roofing toxic?
I don't think the hustle, I don't think it's as toxic. I think how you do the hustle is more important, right? I mean, do it with a cause, do it with a understanding that do your hustle, but understand the hustle is because you're trying to pursue that homeowner's best interest, right? Don't hustle because you're trying to load your pockets with cash. Understand that the money is going to come. You just got to do the right thing first, right? I mean, and that's the biggest thing you try to teach new sales rep is our job as a sales rep out there is to pursue that homeowner's best interest, right? And if I'm doing that correctly and I'm doing that right and I'm doing that ethically, the money's going to come, right? But the problem we have people is they can so concerned about the money that they're not doing the ethical part of pursuing their best interest. And that's where kind of your question earlier that you talked about was, you know, about falsifying damages, things like that, is because they're so concerned about stuff in their pockets, they're not concerned about pursuing that homeowner's interest.
100%. Last question for today. What's one rule every roofing rep should live by?
I think one rule, they should all, something I teach all the guys is I teach them to chase the nose.
Change the notes?
Chase the nose. And they're like, what do you mean chase the nose? I said, when you're out there and you're out there knocking doors and you're out there doing the hustle, because you have to do it when you start off, instead of being so concerned about trying to get a yes, go out there and concern yourself with chasing and seeing how many no's you can get. And do it with a smile on your face. Because I'll tell you what, if you go in with that mindset that, oh, I got another no, oh, I got another no, all that's going to happen is you're going to get down on yourself, you're not going to stay consistent, you're going to get upset, and your mind and your clarity and your body's not ready to do it. I go out there chasing no's. So if I'm doing a 6-pack and I've got 3 no's in a row, I'm doing it with a smile on my face and I'm going to get number 4. And I tell people, try to get 100 no's in a day. See what you can do. If you can go out and get 100 no's in a day, guess what's going to happen? You're going to bound to trip over a yes here and there. And so I tell people, chase those no's. Go get as many no's as you can get. You know?
You know what's another thing? I want to add to it and we're going to wrap it up. I would say a lot of sales reps are delusional. Even after they meet the homeowner, provide the estimate and stuff, they're afraid to call and say, are you ready to go? What sales reps usually say after appointments? Oh, it went really well. He's going to sign up with me, until he doesn't, right? Mm-hmm. And I learned running my company, calling the homeowners and, you know, pressing them to tell you why they did not go with you. Yeah. Getting that reason is one of the most important things. Right now I have BM Direct, like we sell underlayments and stuff. I'm more concerned about customers who are pissed with me, about bad delivery, about any quality issues. It's never pretty, it's hard, like those no's are hard, but I'm more interested learning why people did not buy from me and bought from someone else, or bought from me and did not reorder again. That's for me is data that I want to build my empire. And honestly, guys, if you go on your negative reviews and comments and the reasons why people did not go with you, there's business ideas there. Like there's a billionaire in Russia, and he said he goes, like when he built a bank, and he said, I would go in the comments, like on the 1-star reviews, and I would see what people are complaining about, like, oh, your bank does not have this or that. He said, I took stuff and I added features and even ideas making me millionaires.
Yep.
In those nodes, there's so much data. You can literally
100%. But you're not scared to do the follow-up.
Exactly.
See, and that's what happens is a lot of reps are scared to follow up. They assume the reason they said no is just because somebody else gave a better price.
Yeah.
That's what the assumption is, but they don't ask them that, right? They don't sell on value, they sell on price. Well, they don't ask the homeowner. One of the first questions I ask a homeowner on a retail bid, are you looking for best price or are you looking for most value? That's the first question I ask. Because if they're looking for best price, that's a whole different avenue that I'm going to take this person down as opposed to the most value, right? Most of them will say what? Most of them will say value, and that's where you can start working that angle. But you're right, the follow-up is huge. I mean, when you don't get somebody, I almost get upset to me, I did something wrong. What did I do wrong why that homeowner didn't feel comfortable with me? And so I look at me, you got to be able to ask the tough questions. I mean, asking that homeowner, say, hey, I understand, Mrs. Jane, you decided to go with so-and-so roofing company. That's great. I just have a quick question for you, right? What set them apart than me? I mean, what made you choose them over me? Let them tell you, because they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't like the approach you used on such and such. Or, hey, their price was so much better. Getting that feedback, like you said, and bringing that back, that helps you learn and what you can do next time you meet with a homeowner. So that's huge.
100%. Guys, it's a wrap. Comment below what you think. I'll see you next week in Dallas. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in Dallas as well. Comment away. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, man.